A killer terrified students and others on the campus of Texas University. He was Charles Whitman, 24, an ex-Marine, a dead shot. Beginning just before noon, the sniper waged his private war against mankind. This mass killing, biggest by one man in U.S. history, shocked the whole of America.
So, we've been seeing a lot of this.
Students evacuating with their hands up.
And this.
For a moment, I felt like I'm standing at a cemetery and this is a massive mausoleum. I couldn't save those 8 people.
But why aren't we talking more about this?
22-year-old Caitlin Bennett causing a stir on social media with this. Bennett's stage photo with her toting an AR-10 on her back, holding a graduation cap reading, "Come and take it," as she walks on the Kent State campus.
1966, University of Texas at Austin. Killing 18, shooter Charles Whitman sparked the less-than-prized American reputation concerning gun violence in schools, places of worship, and in this case, on college campuses. Yet the same University of Texas still allows concealed carry on campus, in addition to campuses in 9 other states. What is it about gun culture that creates this appeal? And more importantly, how is America's gun culture affecting the correlation between those who are legally able to purchase firearms and the same-aged individuals who attend a post-secondary institution?
So the Second Amendment I look at is the ultimate fail-safe. If our government grows too corrupt, we always have the right to defend ourselves.
So how have guns, how have they played a role in your life?
There's a certain sense of stability, I guess you could say. It's an equalizer. Physical stature to a point is taken out of play. It's empowering and keeps you humble all at the same time. I also have saved my life.
Do you feel like a sense of community within this gun culture?
Yeah, we call it gunpowder therapy. Yeah, there's PTSD, all of this stuff. You get here and you're on your own. Mm-hmm. And the only people that understand you are the other guys. You get out there shooting guns with your buddies. There's nothing like it.
So, Uncle Adam, how do you feel about the current gun regulations? Do you think they're too weak, too strong, just right? Something needs to be changed about them?
I think most of the regulations probably wouldn't have to be there if we took the same care with weapons as we do with everything else. So, what are regulations doing? There's any whack job out there getting his hands on whatever he wants to anyway, illegally. Either way, no matter what, bad people are going to do bad things, and there's nothing we can do to stop that. You're whittling away at your future, your children's future, your great-grandchildren's future, all that. Background checks? Why not? If someone who's been proven to not be able to handle living in peace and you do a background check, fine.
I'm not going to lie, I think that it was fun recreationally. It's understandable why you'd want to go to a gun range and shoot. It still doesn't change my view about the outside world, kind of.
Inside, the protection and safety of the regulations of the range, I felt super, comfortable shooting, but, in an environment where, none of those regulations are present, I definitely feel more anxious.
See, honestly, I have the complete opposite view. In the range, I felt so confined. I'm sitting there going, what if I forget something? Is he going to kick me out of the range?
And my children are very well versed when it comes to weapons. The same way I would teach my child not to put their hand in a hot stove or run out and play in the street. I teach them what's going to hurt them. It used to be in America that you would have to qualify with a rifle on a rifle range in high school in order to graduate high school. And I think the learning curve is the biggest thing.
I hear the same rhetoric a lot when it comes to gun control. Mm-hmm. I don't hear the background checks as often as I should, but I do feel if you were to ask almost any sane gun owner, as they would be all for background checks.
Right, because it's not going to affect them.
How does a background check thoroughly assess one's mental stability if they don't show signs of mental disability or instability before the purchase of a firearm?
Then after some point, you're hitting the point of like absurdity. It's going to go from one thing to another to another. You need a background check. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Then, you also need to go see a psychiatrist before you're allowed to buy a gun.
Background checks either don't go too far or they just don't do enough.
How are your guys, as not being in the culture, viewing upon it? How does it seem now?
I mean, I never really thought that people submerged in gun culture were bad people.
Yeah.
I just never really understood it, so I think that it provided a good insight for me personally.
Again, like, if people are brought up knowing the expectations of owning a firearm and knowing, like, the safety precautions that need to be taken. And I think, like, it's admirable to an extent, like, showing your child, hey, this is what we do, and this is how I'm going to teach you to, like,
take care
do the same. Yeah, and it's definitely like a community. Like, I really loved when your uncle was talking about soldiers coming back and like having that PTSD and not really like knowing how to deal with it. Being able to like surround yourself with the people who like
therapy.
Right, exactly. Had gone through the same thing. And I definitely don't want to be that person who would be in like favor of taking that away from them. After experiencing and being able to like shoot a gun for the first time or like being able to talk about like your upbringing with gun culture, like what do you guys now think about guns on campus?
For me personally, it would still make me like really uncomfortable. Like even after I went and I shot the gun and I know how they work and I understand it, I feel like just knowing that there's somebody around me that's carrying a gun, I feel like that would still make me uncomfortable.
It doesn't bother me at all. That's probably because like I always assume that like that somebody's carrying a gun, but like whenever I'm about, the way that somebody walks and carries themselves, like, you can just kind of see by the way they walk, like, who's carrying.
So I think, like, a way that the two sides can be bridged is just general information that people need to be exposed to. Because our whole topic is talking about how we have access to these weapons. We're legally allowed to buy them.
Everybody should be educated.
Yeah.
Like, if we're truly going to have guns in our society, like, everybody should have some basis.
Teaching and training and bestowing responsibility on our kids is what should be done. When they know that they have that level of responsibility in their hands in the future, they're going to be more confident in themselves. It's a really big deal.